Hi everybody, it is Bonkai922, just did JoJo, just did Tildes of Anime, and just did To Love Ru. Darkness. I just saw the final episode of SAO. And a lot of people have been doing it. Neverworld did a fucking episode review on it. Everybody's been doing it. Okay. I had said last week I was going to do 2 ratings. Rating on the series as a whole, and rating on the episode. Final. So let's get into it. It was called World Seed. Beginning part of the episode, we have Kirito, and he's rushing, riding on his bike, running, getting to the hospital. And it's no surprise. It is no fucking surprise. Who does Kirito bump into? Sugo. When he bumps into him, it's outside the parking lot. Like, he's like a crook. like he's a mugger. Which I found very ridiculous. And his right eye was really fucked up. It was like pulsating and shit, and he couldn't see clearly. He had cut Kirito on his arm and right in his face. And he's kicking him and shit and saying, I'm gonna be gone. He's trying to kill him. And then Kirito's able to counter him and choke him, give him a chokehold. And he's got him, hitting him on the side of the fucking van. And he's got the knife. He's aching Kirito to just slice his fucking neck. And he's thinking about all this shit Sugo did to Asuna. And he wants to slice this motherfucker. But he stops. And he's like, and Sugo's like, ah! He's crying. Like, fuck you. So, I had that scene. Kirito obviously goes in the hospital. And he goes and he finds Asuna's room. Goes in there and she's awake. And they have their moment. Their awe moment. They're hugging, they're kissing, they're kissing, and it's funny because after that moment, he looks outside the window and you see a reflection. You see Asuna and Kirito as their avatars, and so on and so forth. Then we go. This probably was, and after that scene, we go like 2025. I think I saw it said, and it's basically, I think, 5 years later. I'm not sure it's 5 years later, but it's a couple of months later after that situation. And it seems like Kirito is going to school. And what we find out is it's a school of people who were in SAO. And it's everybody. It's not just Kirito and Asuna. It's Liz, it's, the other one with the dragon, she's there. Everybody who was in SAO. And you know what's so funny? Liz, she's just pissed off. She didn't want Kirito to be with Asuna altogether. And then she said, and the one with the dragon, I forgot her name. She said, you said you were going to let them be alone for a month to be romantically involved, not be, lovey-dovey. She's like, yeah, but I'm still pissed off. And so on and so forth. And basically, and then we get in Kirito's conversation with Asuna saying how, he's asking about her father, and his company obviously went down because of the whole situation. And we find out that Sugo is obviously done. He's in jail. He went. And obviously what had happened was Kaiba killed himself. He killed himself. He went suicide. He committed suicide. And apparently he had inserted his consciousness, into the internet and into the game. So there was that as well. And he had given him that seed. And Kirito was just going on about the whole thing with all the companies going downhill. Now, overall, I'm going to continue the summary, but I just want to say one thing. Overall, this episode was good. This episode gets a 4 out of 5. It was good. And why was it good? I'm about to say why. So, they're all going to go to this meeting, apparently, of SAO players. And Sugaha is right behind him while they're walking there. And the whole thing is like, Kirito's a pimp! No, but anyway. And they're going on their way to meet Agil. You know. The big he's the bartender. And everyone's there to meet up with other SAO players. And when he gets there, you see Klein and everybody, and Liz takes him up, and they throw a party. They throw a party for him for beating SAO, and I'm like, why? That was ridiculous. He was like, huh? One of those hum moments. Cheers, yo. And then we see Sugaha, and she's obviously upset at some things because she feels distant to him. And he's talking to Aegis and Klein about what happened with the egg. And apparently the egg that Kaiba gave him was a new world to new online games. And basically what it did was it made users have the ability to create their own online games. That was the whole gist of the egg. Now, I don't know if this opens the door to Underworld. There's that other game, supposedly Underworld. But that was the whole gist of it. And it was basically going to be used by other companies and so on and so forth. It was very technical about it. Anyway, that's the story there. Then we basically go from that to them going into Alfheim. And we have this scene with Leafa trying to reach the moon, flying, and she can't reach it, and she falls down, and Kirito picks her up. And it's kind of funny because obviously he's got Asuna back, everything's alright, but still you have this thing with you know, his sister and him, and then she's saying that I can't go where you're going and everything. I can't go where you're going. I have to stay away from you. All this stuff. And Kirito's like, no. You can you can go anywhere you want that I'm going with. Where? And he grabs her and just flies, and they wait. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, this black thing shows up right in front of the moon. And this is in Alphen, by the way, if you're wondering. And the black thing that's in front of the moon is Aincrad. The SAO castle. The castle that they were... And he says that he's going to clear all 100 floors now. And because he's new now with this game, he's going to need her help. Leafa's help. And she's happy and everything and so on and so forth. And that's basically what happened there. And then we get everyone showing up. We got Angel, I can't say that guy's name right. Klein, everybody, Liz. And then we see Asuna. Asuna has blue hair. That threw me off. And then we have this moment where it's Asuna, it's Leafa, you got Yui on his shoulder, and he says something to both of them, and they're shocked, and they're surprised, and they're happy. And that's more or less, and they're off to conquer the castle. And that's how it ends. More or less. Like I said, the final episode, and it was a whole thing with him and Asuna early on when they're having lunch. Because she's going to the same school he is, so to speak. So, yeah. And they're lovey-dovey, so yeah. Overall, 4 out of 5. The final episode gets a 4 out of 5. Now, series-wise, from the beginning to end, no joking around. And the only reason I am doing this, the only reason I am giving this rating, is because when it comes down to it, as bad as the plot holes were, as bad as it still was a good series. I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. And people are probably going to bump me up with messages and say, Bonkai, that is bullshit. That is bullshit. That is bullshit. He doesn't deserve a 7 out of 10. But yeah, but you have to think of it this way. Now, I know it wasn't as good as people wanted it to be. But you can't look straight at me in the eye and tell me that you didn't think this was a good episode. That you didn't think he closed it out at least decently. And to be honest with you, I think they closed it out decently. They closed it out decently. This was good. Now, here comes the million-dollar question. Do they continue it? Now, it will be very difficult. Very difficult. It's going to be extremely difficult to continue it because what they have to do is they have to consider this. If they do another SAO and it's on the Gun Gallia Online, which is basically on guns alone, please, 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 do me a grand favor. Go back to light novel. Go take a look at the third game and try to adapt it. And it's very simple what I want them to do for second season. Very simple. No shortcuts. Very simple. If you're going to adapt it that way, do the light novel. Just adapt the light novel of the gun one. The third game. And then you get the fourth game. You know, it can't be that hard. But overall, I thought this was a good episode. I thought that, you know, Asuna with blue hair, that was pretty boss. I was like, yeah. Asuna with blue hair, that was awesome. I still, at the end of the day, even though people say different things about this show, they have different emotions about this show, they said it sucked, it's a piece of shit, it's not good, but let me tell you something. At the end of the day, SAO was a good anime. SAO had amazing animation. You can't lie. If you look at me straight in the eye, you tell me SAO was a bad anime. Why? Because of the story? Fine. That's okay. But you can't look at me straight in the eye and say, the animation, no. The action, no. Those factors have it as a good anime. It was a good anime. It had great action. It had good animation. The fights were pretty boss. I mean, you can't go wrong. But as far as an adaptation is concerned, it didn't do well. And that's why I'm not going any higher than a 7. Not going any higher than a 7. You gotta be fair with this. You really do. And I really enjoyed SAO. Would I like the second season? You bet damn Skippy I would. You bet damn Skippy. Especially if we're going into the guns now. If they go into the third game, guns. And I don't want to spoil too much about that game. I mean, the only thing I really know about that game is it involves a group from the first game. From SAO. From the first game from SAO. So, yeah. And that's all I know from that point. Now, like I said, this was a good anime. I've been reviewing this shit since the summer. First episode I reviewed. Man, I was so hyped up. I must have been on crack cocaine when I saw that shit. But overall, it was a good anime. You leave it at that. That's how I look at it. You leave it at that. It was a good anime. Was it great? No. Could it have been great? Of course it could have been great. But it wasn't. Now, was that disappointing? The light novel fans are saying, this sucks. And they have the right to. But me, I think it was a good anime. I liked how they did things. I liked how it ended. It ended to a point where you say, okay, they tied up a few loose ends. They tied up Sugo. He's gone. They tied him up. Kirito and Asuna got back together, the whole bit. And even though it could have been better, it could have been on SAO alone and not Alfim. Yeah. And by the way, last thing I'm going to say, Asuna. Blue hair for the motherfucking win. But that's what I have to say about it. This has been Bonkai922. I'll see you guys later. Comment below. What were your thoughts on this? What did you think? Comments below. And I'm going to say, don't hold any punches back. Tell me what you think. Comments below. Rate, comment, subscribe. You know the story. This is Bonkai922. I enjoyed SAO. What about you? What about you? I want to hear your thoughts, people. See ya.